recording. And actually, David, we have a call on Wednesday, right?
I believe that's right. I have to check my schedule, either Wednesday or
That's right.
Thursday.
That's right. Yes,
So,
yes.
yep.
I put on my calendar. That's good. I look forward to it. But yeah, Marjorie would love to hear you. Don't know what's going on. Chris, I know you're there. I know it's like a daughter's birthday, but go ahead and turn on the camera if you want. That'd be good. We're trying to test the limits of any meeting to see if it crashes and kicks anybody out. But what's new, guys? Yeah, Marjorie, retry. Maybe call in. Maybe call in. Like leave your video, but use your phone maybe for the audio. It's probably something to do with your browser settings. Any meeting is not the best. Don't ask us why we're using it. It's not bad, but what's the enemy of great is good enough. That's the enemy of great. So any meeting is good enough of a platform. It's not great. If it were bad, we would have switched. That's the problem with good enough, guys. There's a deeper lesson there somewhere. We got to figure it out. So David, what's new?
Not too much. So basically, I'm relatively new to the whole scene here. I got two PIs that I've signed. They're both in psychiatry, and we're working at this point of getting clinical trials for them. And in addition to that, I've got another project. We're currently recruiting PIs. Got a couple more, a couple more in the pipe. So, it's so far so good. Like the recruitment part has gone very quickly, and now we're just working on like getting the initial trials in order to get these sites launched.
Oh, good. Where is your site located?
Houston, Texas, and
Okay.
then also, and I see Lee, he's on here as well. So he and I are working within the Phoenix, Arizona area as well.
Oh, okay. Good. Good. Yeah, there's a lot of people on here. Let's end the Instagram. Instagram, you're gonna have to like subscribe to the email if you want to get on this live, because I'm gonna switch to my headphones here. Okay. Yeah, psychiatry's that's the indication that we started out in. And CNS has been booming, honestly. Like there's a lot of studies right now in CNS. We have a matter of fact, I don't know if Monica's on here, but we have a SIV tomorrow for one of our sites on a postpartum study. Yeah, I don't know if you've gotten that one, David, but there's a lot of
No,
studies.
that's one we applied for. I do remember that one.
Yeah, they're funny about how they pick sites. Sometimes it's just geography, like they have
Hmm.
too many in one area. We deal with that a lot here in Southern California too. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many psychiatric sites, and we're always dealing with those issues. But I think there's so many CNS studies right now, it doesn't matter. I think it was it's feast or famine right now. It's feast. We were in a famine like in 2012, 2010 to 2012 was like a really bad CNS famine. And maybe like most indications, because we were just coming out of the recession, Great Recession. Uh,
Mm.
but CNS then picked up again like 2013, 2014, and went through a mini slump again, and then it started picking up again in like 2018.
So what tactics do you use in order to get naive research PIs that type of research experience? Because that's what we've been getting as far as feedback when we've really solicited. It's been, your PI hasn't done a schizophrenia trial before or something
Yeah,
like that.
I think it's having access to a site network. Like if you're able,
Hmm.
so if you have multiple PIs in your community, or if you have multiple interests from PIs in your community, you can do like a mini site network. And
Hmm.
basically, what we've done is we've onboarded our new PIs um, by being subeyes on our existing PIs, if that makes sense. So
Mm.
basically, we meet a promising PI. He wants to open a site in his office. We have another PI we're already working with. She has a site with us. So we basically piggyback this new guy's experience. Like we add him to all the studies. Okay, and then so now he's developing experience. So when it's time to apply for him for a study or her, uh, it's easier. And that
Hmm.
awkward conversation about, how many years of experience do you have or how many studies of experience do you have is less of
Yeah.
a problem, much less of a problem. So that's one of those examples where it's like scalability, like having that network effect. I mean, you know,
Hmm.
in technology, these technology companies always talk about network effect. It becomes more valuable the more people are in it. Well, same thing with
Yep.
your own site network. It becomes more valuable the more sites you have in your network, because now it becomes easier to plug in new PIs. And not only that, but more physicians are going to want to work with you because you have a network. So that's like the whole idea of a site network. That's what Chris and I are trying to do here in Southern California. We were initially trying to do it nationwide. It's a little bit tougher.
Hmm.
So what we do nationwide is we have a monthly service where we charge a small monthly fee for sites anywhere in the country, and we get them studies. We help them get studies. We help them negotiate their budgets, do their startup regulatory, create their source docs, help them with SOPs, any questions they might have. And we charge a monthly fee, but they get to join our site network. But
What
on a local level, we try to do it on our own, like much like you're trying to do, I assume.
Yeah.
what about the reverse of that scenario? You suggested taking a PI and then using other PIs as sub-eyes in that
Hmm.
trial. You have we have a scenario where we have somebody who wants to sign as a PI but doesn't have any clinical research experience. However, he has a patient population. Conversely, we have a PI with tons and tons of research experience, especially on phase one trials, but no patient population. Is it
Right.
okay to use the the doctor that has the patient population, use his patient population with the other one as a PI, and then put him as a sub-I, even though it's his patient population in his office?
Yeah, as long as they're both okay with it. So the key is, open communication, transparency between both of them. They have to know what's going on.
And
Uh,
how would you work out remuneration on that? How does that technically get divided up? Because you got to keep them both happy, but it's like one's bringing the patients and the overhead. The other one has the experience, so he's key to getting the trial. Now, I think the one that has the patients is really wanting to get into clinical research, so he'll be fairly flexible. Um,
I think that is his remuneration. So basically, you got to work with what they want to achieve long run. So the guy with a lot of patience but no research experience, you're saying wants to be in research long term. So that's a good thing. That means that you don't need to actually pay anything for. I mean, he's going to be a sub-I. What you could do is pay like a percentage of the study to the sub-I. Usually we do between 5 to 10% of the study budget will go to the sub-investigator if they're active and helping with assessments or patients. Because you want to stay away from patient referral fees, but you can pay sub-Is. I mean, they're contractors at that point of your study, so they'd probably be willing to do it for very little, because they understand the responsibilities on the PI, but they know that this is an investment they're making in their own business by gaining the experience, and then hopefully they like you enough and you provide enough value to where they want to start their site with you, right? Like using your infrastructure. And that's kind of how this is how we're building our mini site network here in Southern California, using that exact strategy, because that's the most common. These doctors, they start out with private practice, and then they see how well research pays, and so it's very enticing for them to just want to give up their private practice. Many of our clients have done that. They've gone from all private practice and just some research to 100% research, no private practice. So now they're relying on attracting their colleagues to their site network, right? To their site, and then helping them. This is where kind of science meets art. I guess you can call it business. Uh, when they work with you, they're going to be helping you out, but they're willing to take less because they don't have experience. They know that. If they don't know that, you need to communicate that to them, but they should figure it out. The key is once they get some basic knowledge, do they still want to work with you? And maybe yes, maybe no, but I think this is where you need to be selling and showing your value the entire time as a site network owner. Hey, what can you do? How can you make their life easier? How are you going to take care of monitoring issues that come up? No PI wants to deal with angry monitors or like, sponsor audits with pissed off sponsors. Like if you can alleviate those pain points for them and they can still make good money doing research, they're probably going to want to partner up with you long term. But this is like a conversation that constantly needs to happen between you and all your prospects that you're bringing on as far as physician prospects. Matter of fact, any clinician, oftentimes nurse practitioners are just as valuable, if not more valuable than the physicians themselves. Hopefully that helps. Who else is on here? Chris? What do you think about this so far, Chris? Are you available to talk?
Yeah, everything sounds good.
That's good. How's it going over there in your house, working from home?
Madhouse at the moment.
Your daughter's birthday. Happy birthday to her.
Thankfully, Julie's dealing with all of it.
Ah,
I'm
very good.
responsible for answering the door at this point.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Constant communication, and it's easier said than done, guys. Like we don't do a good enough job of maintaining communication with our PIs. One of my biggest fears is the PI that's interested in doing research with us eventually doesn't want to do research with us. And I know it could be greatly enhanced, like those odds can be greatly improved if I were to talk more to them. The problem is time. And so we're trying to build out a team. Monica's like going to be a critical part of that team for Southern California, as well as Dr. Al, who's another doctor that we're working with, on maintaining this communication between us and the PIs that are interested in doing research. They're willing to be subeyes, but then we really want to keep them when they're interested in being PIs rather than having them go do their own thing. Even if we're like minority owners in the site, we're perfectly fine with that. It doesn't have to be under our umbrella. The doctor, if they're entrepreneurial, can go do their own site, but they should see some value in us to want to retain us and give us some kind of equity um, in their site, or just pay us a monthly fee. In which case, they can just become like our other sites, which are treated basically the same. I mean, same infrastructure, same everything. There's probably a little more hand holding for the local sites because of Monica and Dr. Al and the other people on our team, but essentially it's the same thing. So that's the that's the strategy we've been using. What else? What are you guys thinking? What else is going on this Monday? I almost said Sunday, but this Monday afternoon. Marjorie, let me hear. Let me test it out.
Well, I'm on the phone.
Oh,
Can
there
you
we
hear
go.
me?
Now I can
Okay.
hear you. I know you got lots to talk about, Marjorie. It's been a while.
Don't I always?
How's quarantine treating you?
We're good. We're here in the office. We're working. We're seeing monitors. We're seeing patients.
Wow,
We're,
so every monitor for your studies are coming in?
they're coming in. They want to come in. We keep them isolated in one place. They walk in the door. We take the temperatures, ask them all the questions that are required for COVID, and then we keep them in one place. And after they leave, we disinfect. We make sure everything is clean. We make sure that when they walk in, also they wash their hands. So that's all really you can do. We wear our masks all day long when they are here. So we're doing that part, and we're doing the same thing with patients. We're only allowing one family in at a time. So when they come in, it's been good. We have 8 studies coming up right now. We're
Wow, 8
mostly
studies.
we're mostly pediatrics. So,
Okay.
and going back to what you were talking about, because I have something to say, with our PI who had no experience. our doctor, our pediatrician, she was, just working at a pediatric office. We brought her in here. She had no experience in clinical research, but what we did for our very first study, we promoted the site, we promoted our experience, we promoted the community, our demographics, her as a clinician, and then the proper training that she would get. We made sure she had GCP, AHRP. I mean, we did, we added all of that, and then of course, whoever's experienced at your site, we added my CV to it. So I added my CV, and that's how we got our first pediatric study with her. Previous to that, we put her as a sub-eye. So now the 8 studies that we have with her are all pediatric studies, and we're going to open a pediatric office because we realize there's a need for pediatricians. So she's going to partner with us to be our doctor at our site. So that's kind of how we got her, research under her belt. And like I said, we promote her as a clinician, and then we promote our experience in clinical research. So that's a way to get those naive doctors, just by promoting the positives of your site and what you can provide for them. And like you mentioned all the time, Dan, it's about what can we do for them. So it's like we have the database, we have the location, we have the demographics for you. Our PI is a great doctor in the community. So show the positives, and when they come back with you like, well, he doesn't have experience in research. Yes, but he has this other experience, or she has this much experience, and this is what our staff experience is. So that's one way to promote someone who doesn't have research experience. You have to show the sponsor how you're going to make sure that they get the correct data. So I don't know. I'll just ramble on for hours, guys.
No, that's good. I mean, I interviewed someone yesterday who started at the interning at a site from bench research, and on her first day of being an intern, she got hired because the study coordinator left, and then by month 3, she was like an expert in the studies she was running. So this goes to show you, like, this industry, for whether you're PI, CRC, site owner, whatever it is, the incubation period is very long. Like, I don't know what kind of animal to compare it to, but but once you're born, like once you get in, you mature so quickly. Like you go from being like, a baby to at least a juvenile in a matter of weeks, and then you become an adult like within the year, easily. So, I mean, this is a strange industry because I've been in other industries, and there's usually not this steep of a barrier to get in. But then once you're in, you could be below average and always be in demand. It's crazy. It's a crazy industry.
You get what you put into it. If you want to become an expert in any part of it, of clinical research, you can. But it's up to you to decide that that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we like to push. The PIs that are going to come to work with us. I say, here's the link for GCP training. Here's the the GCP manual.
Marjorie, these PIs come to us and are
my
interested.
My $200 book. I let them take it home.
That one's
this
not. Give them mine. Mine's only $30.
Wrong book. Yours too. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
I don't know what there we go. There we go. I don't know what the other book is. Okay. I guess that's an okay book too. I don't really know. I haven't read it. But here's the thing though, these doctors, they'll come to you, like, this is how quick they grow up, okay? And this is also the potential danger for you site owners, okay? These doctors come to you zero experience. They don't even know what 1572 means. They don't know what GCP is, but they, their colleague do research and they want to do it. They come in, takes you like 3 months, 6 months. We give them sub-eye experience. Finally, we get them a study. Okay, before that year's over, they are now at investigator meetings. Although now it's COVID, so they're going to be virtual. But they're meeting with other doctors. They're like experts now. Like, so that's quick. Like, they grow quickly. So you have to demonstrate your value to them as a site owner because, yeah, you're helping them initially. They don't know anything. But then once they start opening their eyes and see, they're like, hey, why do I still need Dan? And this is where I think, like, where we started this meeting with, that network effect. Like, some people, most people, want to be part of a bigger group because there's more opportunities to be successful if you join the bigger group. And then the more people that join, the more opportunities is to be successful. It's like a catch-22, right? But in a good way. So I think that the danger is in losing these PIs once they figure out what they're doing, if you can't demonstrate the value. And that, honestly, that used to be me. Like, I would lose these guys because we would do the work, but then they would say, hey, well, what is Dan actually doing? Like, I can do it myself. And then if they go out and do it on their own and fail, they're not going to come back. I mean, for whatever reason, most doctors not going to do that. They're not going to come back to you. But so it's your duty as a site owner to keep them aboard, because not only is it better for you, but you're probably doing them a service by helping them out in the process as well. And then there's always those that will never want to work with you long term. They're just in it
Yeah.
to get their bearings, and there's not much you can do, but if you can siphon off some patients from them for your studies for some short-term results, that's good too. It's just the game, guys. Don't hate the
Yeah.
player, hate the game.
I think you mentioned that in a video a long time ago, where don't hold on to your PI because they probably won't stay with you forever. When I
Yeah.
first started this site, my goal was to, let's get this PI. Maybe he'll retire. He'll come in and work for us. We can have him here full time. And we quickly learned, everybody has their own path and their own ideas of what they want to do. So we're working together for now. This is the value that we can provide for you. If this is what you want to do, if you want to work with us, that's great. If you don't, that's fine too. So I think that really helped when we thought we're going to contract with these PIs or subeyes, and we're just going to work with each other the time that we can. And if not, then we just move on. And that's really helped our business. And I feel like that's helping us grow. And because we're not just holding on to that one PI. We're thinking, okay, who else can come in to be part of this team? Who else can come in? So we're constantly thinking we're going to have turnaround. And that's fine. And that's perfectly fine. Our core team is the same core team. Christy's still here. Carla is here. These are my core team guys. But, our PIs and our investigators will come and go, and it's perfectly fine. And that's perfectly fine. But in the meantime, we'll do the best that we can for them.
Have you ever thought of building like a site network to keep some of them from leaving? Like, helping them do the research in their own offices if they're going to go?
We have, but so far the PIs that we've talked to, they are not interested in doing business, the business part of it. So that's a positive thing for us, because you know how it is as a site owner. Everybody says we want to do it, but then there's more to that. I mean, we need overhead, we need all of the things that we need. So far, luckily, the ones that we've talked to are not interested in having their own practice, their own business, or anything like that. We do have one PI that we're working with who has his own practice. So what his issue was that he wasn't getting any studies. So he wanted to come work with us so that we can run that part of it, and then he could just see his patients over there and not have to deal with it. So, he did it on his own, but then he wants to work with us. So, I mean, that's the plan, is that we want to be a site network, or have doctors come in, or we can send staff to their site. I mean, that's what we want to do. But, it's going to take time, but that is part of the plan.
How do you convince sponsors that you're going to be able to fill the patient population when you don't have a doctor with an office or a patient population? How are you convincing sponsors that you can recruit?
Well, that's what we actually have a site recruitment action plan. I was a monitor in the past, and so then we used to do that, fill out that one form every time we would go to a site. So it's like, what is going to be your action plan? So whenever we would talk to the sponsors, like, let's say we're going to get a migraine study. We're going to talk about, okay, what's the population in the area? What doctors can we contact? What kind of recruiting can we do in the community? So we create all of this during the site qualification visit. So when I talk to them and when I sit down and do my qualification visit, I show them this recruitment action plan to show them what is going to be our action plan and what are we going to do as a standalone site, because we are a standalone site. So what I'm seeing in the industry is that a lot of the sponsors are opening their eyes to using standalone sites, because I think they're learning, and Dan, we've talked about this, where they're realizing that doctors who have a database, once they go through that database, that's about as much recruiting that they're going to do. So we have to show them what is the value of coming to a standalone site, and what are the extra steps that we're going to do to recruit. the patients that they need. So that's what we're doing to show the sponsors, okay, actually we got three studies, one right after the other, and they just send us another one for infant formula with one of these big pharmaceutical companies who, when I went to the investigator meeting, didn't really want to talk to me because I was a standalone site and they didn't believe in it. So I had one of the doctors from the company sit there. We had dinner. I was sitting next to her, and she didn't believe in a standalone site. So I sat there and I told her what the positives were of working with a standalone site. And she was like, we'll see. So we did. We recruited for them. And they just sent me a study and said, send us the 1572. I was like, well, did we get this study? Oh, yeah, by the way, yeah, you got it. Yeah, sure. Go ahead and send us a new 1572. Okay. So, I mean, we've shown our value by bringing in people from the community. So that's what you have to do. I mean, it's a lot of work, but we have to prove that right now our database has grown. We've gone to events where it's helped our database, and I feel like our database is pretty big compared to some of the local doctors' offices. And we're opening up a pediatric office. I didn't know if I mentioned that. Topaz Pediatrics, guys.
That's good. Congrats. I mean, yeah, I think I knew that. Like, you were working on that when we did our interview, which seems like so long ago now, because it
We
was before
mentioned it.
Corona.
Yeah, we were thinking about it, and we actually talked to our doctor about it, and she's really excited about coming to work with us,
Yeah.
and building the pediatric part. So
Anything that happened BC, before Corona, seems
Before-
like ancient times.
True.
We're in AC world now, after Corona.
Yes. Well,
Or
we're still
maybe not even
Corona.
after. Yeah, still just
Yeah.
Corona period. Who knows? Related to that, so I'm always thinking of ways. So, this whole push for pharma or the industry to create decentralized trials and all this stuff. I mean, remember when, like 5 years ago, I think around 2015, risk-based monitoring was like all the rage. And here we are in 2020, and most studies are still doing 100% traditional monitoring. So, you know, all these things like virtual trials, these are nice ideas, and I think some of them will, because there's elements of risk-based monitoring that are incorporated now in traditional monitoring. But I'm always curious as a site, like, how can we actually be on the forefront of some of this stuff? So I think with the site level, it's getting a database. This is another reason why I think that network is so important. Getting a database, like you've done, Marjorie, where you can pull up a report for a sponsor on a feasibility, like in a few seconds, right? Like, what do you need? What's the IE criteria? Boom, here's like our report that we've generated. This is the patients in our database. We know which doctor these are associated with. I know that costs some money. We're working on trying to build our own so that it's centralized now instead of each site having their own. But I think these kind of things are going to be game changers for sites that are able to show quick numbers to the sponsors, as opposed to, just like, here's our word. You take our word for it. Well, no, we can actually give you a report. We'll de-identify all the patient info, but this is our report for your study, and like, we haven't talked to any of these patients, but these are the ones that we would target, because this is kind of what virtual trials is headed towards, really. It's quick data, like big data. And I'm always, I know sites don't really invest in these kind of things. They don't think about these things. But I think in 5 years, certainly in 10 years from now, I think every site will need to have some kind of a similar platform that they can pull up numbers on real quick. Just my thoughts, but I think that's going to be the case.
Yep, I agree. This is Judy with Sun Valley Research Center.
Judy, how's it
yeah.
going?
Pretty good. I've been listening. Hi. I don't think I have my camera on, but so I agree with you, because actually a few years ago we implemented a CTMS system that we're able to track all the recruitment referrals that we have. So I can easily go in and pull up a list of all our depression patients. We have 5,000, say, or I can go back and actually, Chris is helping me with the contracts and budgets, and I can tell him we easily have 5,000 in our database that we're going to have to pre-screen for this upcoming depression study. So hopefully we could get reimbursed for some chart review pre-screening costs, because that's a lot of work. But it's made my life a lot easier than compared to how we were doing it before. I think we were doing some kind of Excel sheet, and it was just a
Yeah.
mess. So once we
Yeah.
transitioned to a system, within a few seconds, I could pull up these reports, and it's like the best thing ever.
What CTMS are you using?
Real time?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I've
Which
heard good
it
things
has,
about it.
yeah, it has a lot of good things. Maybe a few negative things, but for the most part, it's really good with the database and financial part of it. I really like too, where it keeps
Can you
track of
put,
everything.
does it allow you to put like pre-screens in there, or is it just patients
Yes.
that enrolled?
All the referrals you receive, whether you pre-screened, whether you didn't
Okay.
contact them, you can set it up where you pre-screen them, you didn't contact them, they didn't qualify. There's different things you can select, and then you can customize it. I think you can change it around if there's specific ways that you want to categorize the referrals. They can set it up that way for you.
Okay, good. Yeah, something like that would be helpful. And you have one site, right? Like you have a big site, but one
Yes.
site.
So we're the only site, and so what you guys were talking about, working with other physicians, we're kind of the same. We're trying to expand and grow and bring on a bunch of physicians, and a lot of them have their private clinics, or they work for the community clinics or hospitals, and so we're trying to bring them, kind of like a site network you mentioned, but I guess I never thought of it that way, but bring them on board. They can work with us on research. Yes, they have their database, but a lot of times we have to advertise and recruit outside of the database. We don't get all our referrals from our doctor's database, and I would assume a lot of other studies. But since we're the only research center in Imperial County, we kind of have access to a lot of physicians, a lot of clinics, and all the patients in the community. We just have
Would
to do a lot of outreach and
would
advertising.
would you in theory be able to pull the private practice database from the doctor that works with you into your CTMS, or would it have to be
Um,
manual
so it would
uploading?
Yeah, it would be manual uploading. So if we get their information, say we can pull it into an Excel sheet, I think we can import it that way. I've never tried it. Or if we
Okay.
pre-screen individually and put them in that way into our system. But we can open the real-time app on our phone and say we're at a physician's office, and we can input that referral directly into the CTMS without even taking that referral outside of that office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the value is in the data. I mean,
Mhm.
DIA last year, DIA 2019, back when there were conferences, was like eye-opening for me. Every other booth was a virtual trial company doing a virtual trial. And what they were doing was they were going into doctors' offices who wanted to do a study with them, and they would siphon off their data. Hey, how's it going? Keep it going. Keep the work going. Keep the podcast going. All that stuff that you're doing, keep expanding. Yeah. Love Carla. Uh so every other booth was like virtual trial. We're going to give your doctor a study, but in order for the study to work, because it's patientless. So I was just like unraveling this BS as I was talking to the guy at the booth. It's patientless trial. So I said, "Well, pardon my ignorance, but how does this work? Because how do you have a patientless trial?" Well, it's all about the data. You do retrospective chart reviews, this and that. I said, okay, well, where do you get the data? We get them from the doctors who do our studies. And I said, okay, well, what's the study? And the study is basically them running their platform, siphoning off the data into their database, something like what you're using, Judy. And they do this at scale. So by the time they get a real virtual trial from one of these big CROs, they've got like maybe hopefully 1,000 doctors in their system, and they could pull up the numbers quickly. So if we all do something similar to this, I mean, these guys are not even sites; they're just like a tech company. They're funded by one of the big CROs. I'm not gonna mention who, but that's who's funding them. But they're not putting their name on it, but they're
Mm.
funding them. So the power, just follow the money, guys. The power is going to be in the data. It's just that's where it's headed. That's where the money's being thrown at, and this is what sites need to think about, myself included. I mean, we're doing it. We're not doing it fast enough because we have all our clients that we work with. I mean, you're one of them, Judy. Like, we never asked you for your database yet, but eventually we want to get to the point where we're able to have all these patients in the data so we can go to sponsors and say, look, this is a site in Imperial. We can get this many patients for you for these studies. And boom. So hopefully it would make the process quicker of getting studies for you, like identifying and winning the studies from the sponsors. Because right now, what are they doing? They're sending you a feasibility and they're hoping that you're telling the truth, right? Like, I mean, great, great system like they have, but that's what we've been using, and I think that's going to change in this decade. And we just started this decade, but I think that's going to change this decade.
We actually we just learned about two different companies that are doing exactly what you were talking about, Dan. One of them actually called us and interviewed us, asked us about our people and how we get patients, and it was just like a whole interview. And then another one is another group from one of my sites I used to work with. The owner has created this company where he's networking with a bunch of different sites, and it's exactly what he's doing. He's putting in, we have 10,000, 20,000 patients in our database. And so it's exactly what's happening. So that I know of this last month, that's two different companies out there that are setting this up right now.
Yeah.
That I've heard of. I'm sure there's more that are starting up.
Yeah, there's those that are doing it primarily to help themselves, like these vendors I met, and because they're going to sell that data to sponsors and not really give the sites anything other than an upfront payment, which is like peanuts. I mean, they get these doctors that never done research and they're like, oh, this is cool. I get $5,000 for sharing my database, and that's it. Like, there's no other value. And there's other vendors like or site networks, kind of like what DSCS is trying to do, and a few others. Sounds like this one that you mentioned, where you're trying to get the economies of scale. You're trying to get that network effect where, hey sponsor, we have all these sites. We can pull it up like within seconds. Here's the info for Judy's site in Imperial. What studies would be appropriate for her? Here's for Marjorie. What would be appropriate for her? And like within seconds we can get those that info, and that's really the value add is for the sites, like for the individual sites, and of course for the network too. But be careful and learn how to differentiate, because there's those who the final product is selling your data, and there's the others whose final product is you, the site, getting the study, and the middleman just kind of helping facilitate it quicker, more efficiently. So be careful. You're going to see a lot, and they're all called the same thing: virtual trial, database, like big data. So don't think they're all the same. You got to follow the money, follow what's going on. And we just started seeing some of that last year. DIA to me was eye-opening last year. I wish they would have had one this year, because I bet it would
Well,
have been more of the same.
set it up, Dan. Let's do this, Dan. Let's all get together and let's do our own networking here. Set it
Hey,
up.
that's what we're doing with these monthly things. But yeah, eventually the conferences will be back, and you guys go to Bio or DIA. Judy, especially you. It's like in San Diego every other year.
Yeah.
Uh, you can go, but you'll see. Just walk around. Like, don't stand at your booth. There's not much value there. Just walk around, and you'll see the vendors, and then you start seeing opportunities and start seeing where the money. I mean, I thought it was really sneaky that one of the big, like a very well-known CRO, is financing this questionable company. Uh, I don't know if the owner was supposed to let me know that, but they did. But their name is nowhere on the brand. It's nothing to do with that CRO, right? But they're funding it. They're like one of the main funders of this. So who do you think's going to end up getting that data at the end of the day, right? And then it's going to position them to be able to win more projects from sponsors. So sites need to be doing this too. Like, empower yourselves. Don't just let other vendors do it for you.
Yeah.
Whew. What a day. Too bad I couldn't go live on Instagram. This computer is the speaker. I need to change the speakers on this computer. But I did it, Judy. I interviewed someone from our Patreon channel.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Yeah, today. And for YouTube, David, his name is Ross, and he wrote a book. He wrote a Kindle book on patient recruitment using Facebook ads.
Oh,
And
I saw that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the only book on Amazon, which is search engine number 3 biggest search engine in the world. People think Amazon is a store. Yeah, it's a store. It's a search engine. It's a search after Google and YouTube, which is Google. It's Amazon. Like that's the search engine, not Bing, not Yahoo. It's Amazon. And I have a personal experience from this. So the book that we wrote, the one that we showed earlier from David, thank you, David. Uh, I put that out there on Amazon. I had a call a couple weeks ago from a guy working for a European sponsor, and I asked them, "Hey, how did you get my number?" Well, he said he was bored one day and just searched clinical research on Amazon and found the book, bought it, read it, learned about all the videos and all that stuff, and now we're talking about being a CRO for like one of his pilot studies. So this stuff works. You guys need to be putting out like whatever's in here. All you guys on the screen right now, I know for sure can write multiple books. You need to put it out there. Like put out a book. Put it on something because people are gonna find you. People you won't even expect. People think you're just putting it on Amazon to sell. No, it's mainly for the awareness. That's what it's
Yeah,
for.
true.
You're not gonna be like Stephen King or Tom Clancy when you write these books, but people are gonna find you.
Yeah, I actually have a phone call with him scheduled later this week.
Oh, Ross is the man.
Yeah.
Ross is,
Yeah.
and he
And
can help.
actually, I bought the book, but I haven't read it because I mean that's all we do a lot of social media advertising. So I need to see exactly what he wrote and pick his brain, I guess you could say.
He seems like very reasonable. Like he can, yeah. I'll release the interview soon because I did 2 interviews, one for Patreon, one for YouTube. But yeah, I mean, he seems like he does this for sites all the time, running Facebook ads. So that's a good guy to know, and one of our very own Patreon members. We love the patrons. Yes, you do, Marjorie. I can't hear you, but I know what you're saying. You got to
I
be on
said
it.
I need to do it. I got in there.
I know that's
I
what you
looked at my
said.
$5 choice. I looked at my $10 choice. I got called over to do something, and Carla got me distracted, and we didn't sign in. So yes,
That's
because I
all
know
right.
there's a lot of great information in there. And you know,
Actually,
Dan, we're your
more than I
fans.
thought. Thank you. It's honestly more than I thought. Like, because I only started that in February, and I'm not really pushing it that hard. But people are already writing books, meeting each other from the masterminds. Like Jeslyn, I know Jeslin's on here. Meets with Judy. I mean, it's like its own little,
Yeah,
for the
Judy.
for.
Judy's my best friend now. I mean, come
I
on.
know.
Oh, you
We,
guys
we
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
See,
we
we got
talk
to
like
get
once a
David
month,
into
right?
it too, because David's on the
David, join us.
Patreon, so we got to get David on this as well. There's Jeslyn.
Oh, there you go.
Hey,
Hello.
Jessamine.
We got all patrons on the screen right now. This is crazy. Marjorie, I consider you one already. So we got all
Thank you.
patrons.
And I have a phone call with Jeslyn later this week too. We're
See,
gonna
look
talk.
at this. Look at this, guys. Empower yourselves.
Yes.
Decentralized. There is nothing more decentralized than Judy calling Marjorie and talking about business. I
Yep.
mean,
That's what we
forget
do.
about what Intel says or IQVIA calls it, decentralized. This is decentralized. This is empowering the individual at the site level. And at the end of the day, guess what? We need more patients in research. This is an industry-wide problem. This is a societal problem. How is that going to happen? It's not going to happen unless we get more physicians, more clinicians interested. And this is where, like all the people you see on the screen, this is our job to, and we're incentivized to do so very well, I might add. But yes, we have every incentive to do that, to bring in more clinicians, do more studies, get more research naive patients in there, especially minorities. I know we talked about this before on the Patreon. That's a whole nother ball game.
Yep.
And I think that's been one of our favorite part is talking with Judy, where we sat down and we just had a conversation, and it's like, what's working for you, what's working for us, and just emailing each other and networking with each other. There's enough work and business and more than enough for everybody. So
More than enough.
well, yeah, exactly. And this is what we need to do: is we need to stay in contact and just help each other grow. Because I'm going to get that 4-bedroom yacht, guys, and I'm going to invite you also. So we need to help each other grow. So
I'll bring my
Wednesday, I just want my
That's
site to
on the
grow. I want to be a multi-specialty clinic in Imperial County. That's my goal.
Exactly.
That's our goal.
So we need to encourage each other.
something about rural. Like I
Mhm.
love Judy's location. It's amazing. Not to mention it's like right next to Mexico, right? So we don't even need to talk about that opportunity. But the rural aspect, like there's no other sites there, but it's a big enough community to where, and there's enough physicians to where you can literally have a monopoly on that area,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
for
exactly.
research.
Mhm.
Amazing. You can't do that in LA. You can't do
Nope.
that where I'm at. Houston. You can't do that in Miami.
In a lot of places, yeah.
Yeah, but in Imperial, wow, you can do a lot. You can do a lot there. So yeah, thank you guys for jumping on this thing. What's new, Jeslyn? What are you doing these days? Uh-oh, we can't hear. Is it just me? She's having the Marjorie issue.
Oh, can you hear me now?
There we go. There we go. There we go.
Yay, I was muted. Imagine that. Same story, different day, just working, acquiring more knowledge and just networking and practicing what I preach basically. So just staying the course and just staying connected in networking with other industry professionals. So hey everyone, it's nice to virtually see you, David. Looking forward to talking with you soon, Judy.
As close
Yes,
to
me
physical
too.
as we could get these days.
Yes.
Normally I don't go to investigator meetings, but the first one that they open up, I might go to just to get on a plane and go somewhere and get back into things.
Ooh.
Mhm.
That'll be 2021 easily
Yeah, careful with
2021.
that.
Like
Okay.
middle 2021. I know when this first started, we were hoping for like winter time. I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think
No.
like summer of next year is like the earliest we can like think about doing those kind of things.
Well, we've had 2 investigator meetings during COVID, and we've asked for lunch. They won't provide lunch. So, guys, I'm waiting to I'm ready to travel out to get some free lunch.
So virtual meeting, they wouldn't provide lunch for the virtual
They
meeting.
won't provide anything. It's on us. We have to figure it out. 8 hours of sitting down during an investigator meeting with not even a minute of snacks. I mean, that's the great part of investigator meetings.
Yikes.
Poor Monica. So Monica's doing a virtual SIV tomorrow, and she's like begging me to be on, but I don't know if I'll have time. I'll probably get on and then get off like without them noticing. But they want you on there for like 6 hours. It's crazy.
Wow. It's a
Yeah,
long time.
it's nuts. I'll be there for like half an hour and then I'll be out. But yeah, poor Monica. She's probably doing that right now. Another investigator meeting. So lots of studies, lots of opportunities, guys. Keep pushing. Think of ways to put yourself out of business because better you than someone else. And yeah, that's that. That
I
is
agree.
that. But thank you guys for coming on, and we got to be doing more of these. The once a month is good. I think once a month is good. We used to do daily. That was insane. But once a month is good, I think. What do you guys think? Once a month?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, okay. We'll do that. We'll do that. And we'll do the Patreon once a month too. So that'll be good. All right. Anybody else want to say something? We're going to wrap up. We got a good amount of phone call people. What is this? Chris is there. Chris, you're unmuted.
Everybody
You
have
want
a
to
good
say
week.
something? Oh, Chris, have a good week. Happy birthday to your daughter. I love cancers.
Oh.
July 24th is her birthday. What's her birthday?
25th.
She's a Cancer still. I'm July 12th. So yeah, they're good people. All right.
Happy birthday to your daughter, Chris.
Yeah,
happy
she's a good
birthday
kid.
to her.
She's a good
Thank you,
kid.
everybody.
She's a good kid. She's a good kid. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Everybody have a good day, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye bye.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Indeed. Bye, y'all.